Come on, Annie. Let's go to the movies.
This is the Cinereelists, episode 547. My name is Kyle.
My name is James.
And my name is Zach.
And we're here to talk about movies, movie lists, and movie obsession for the next hour or so. Guys, I have a movie theater etiquette question for you.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
All right.
It's not blankets. We're going to table that for now.
Okay.
All right, so this is a 3-part question, possibly 4-part question. And it's based on a movie theater experience I had today. I'm not going to get into it because I don't want to go on a rant already. So I'm just going to ask you, what are your opinions on 1, backpacks in the theater, 2, bringing your own foods to the theater or other people bringing food to the theater, and 3, people bringing especially loud wrappers or apples to the theater?
Sounds very
Okay.
specific.
Yeah. We're getting closer and closer to what actually happened to you today.
Yes, we are.
Someone brought a wrapped apple to the theater in a backpack.
No, they brought a backpack full of snacks with like the loudest bag of like individual wrap snacks you could think of. Like, remember when Sun Chips made those new bags that were supposed to be better for the environment, but also were incredibly loud? Just the crinkle factor to them.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
people
They're very
hated them.
thin, kind of. Yeah.
Exactly. So it sounded like they're eating out of those bags, whatever snack they brought for them and their party. And then they also were just munching on an apple, like just crunching away on
Gotcha.
an apple. So
I have thoughts.
okay, please do share.
Okay, I have no issues theoretically with someone bringing a backpack into a theater.
Okay.
That doesn't bother me morally at all. I will say I find it highly unusual. Maybe it's because I didn't think that you're allowed to bring backpacks into a theater. In my mind, I can't picture bringing a backpack into a theater.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But if someone brings it and it's in front of their seat or next to them in a mostly empty theater, totally fine with that.
This backpack was on their lap, and they multiple times during the movie opened the backpack to retrieve snacks. And again, maybe I'm sensitive to the sound, but the zipper was maybe the loudest zipper I've heard in a while.
Yeah, I would say if there's a zipper, you zip it open before the movie and you just leave it unzipped. If it's in their lap, that's fine, but I would not be zipping and unzipping during the film. Okay.
Okay.
Sneaking food into the theater, I'm pro.
I think we've
Very
all done
pro.
it here. Yeah.
I think it's the game you play with the theater, right? It's a cat and mouse, the classic cat and mouse game. It's a social contract where like you do it and they can try to catch you if they want.
I get the impression at this point, like the 14-year-old kid working the theater doesn't care if you have a backpack full of food or not.
Right. I don't know if they ever cared. I think it's the managers that care.
Yeah.
Now, as far as what you bring to the theater, I think very much so you need to not bring in loud food. So crinkly wrappers, I like pre-opening crinkly wrappers if you must. Apples, I don't think I've seen an apple in a theater.
This was a first for me. Yeah.
I think a good theater fruit would be more like a grape. Get a bunch of grapes in a Ziploc. You're good to go. James, what are your thoughts?
I've seen somebody peel an orange in a movie theater and eat it.
Okay.
Okay.
I'm not mad at that.
But that's a quiet endeavor.
Didn't bother me any, other than being
Yeah.
fascinated by it. Yeah, I mean, I'm pro bringing food into the theater. I think you should know your audience. So, like, if you want to bring $30 worth of Taco Bell to see Beavis and Butthead Do America circa 1996, I think that's perfectly fine. But maybe don't bring it to, I don't know, a screening of Schindler's List on opening night. Probably not appropriate.
Your Taco Bell.
A little too stinky for that audience, probably. Yeah, I mean, just be aware of how smelly your food is. As far as the sound factor, people eating around me doesn't bother me at all. I can't remember the last time anybody eating anything
Oh,
bothered me in
wow.
a movie theater. I don't know. Maybe I just
Some people
have quiet eaters around me.
Some people are very inconsiderate with the wrapping, with the packaging.
Mhm.
It's the packaging, or it's like when people have individually wrapped candy, like those old twisty ones, and
Mhm.
instead of just like pulling the ends to unwrap it, they think they're being more considerate by like slowly unwrapping it. It's like do you remember those old disposable cameras you could get, which like you had to wind the film every single time?
Mhm.
And I remember, Zach, we were like on our 8th grade trip to Washington D.C. and we're at the Tomb of the Unknown Soldier, which is, you can hear a pin drop in that space. And like we're taking pictures and trying to decide, do I just like crank that thing around and get it over with, or do I do like one click at a time for 30 seconds? It's a tough call.
It's a tough call.
I think in a movie theater, you just rip the Band-Aid off. You open the thing.
No, you just wait till the movie gets loud, then you go for it. That's how you do it.
Or as Zach said,
Yeah.
you pre-open your snacks.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't generally don't have a problem with any of that. I don't even think I'd have a problem with an apple. Who cares? What movie was this that you were watching?
Minions: Rise of Gru.
Anything goes.
Yeah,
in
oh my
Minions,
goodness.
Kyle, come on.
If you're at a kids movie, any noise is acceptable, including tons of crying babies.
So somebody brought their kids and didn't want to pay insane prices at the counter, and so they brought apples and stuff like that for kids. And you're
snacks
upset
for their
over
kids.
No.
Wait, was it the kids eating the apple or the adults?
The adult ate the apple. The kids were teenagers. It was
You
an
were
adult
upset
with their
at
teenagers.
Kids making noise with rappers.
Teenagers. If these were like 6-year-olds, it's a different story. But we're talking an adult and teenagers at this movie.
Okay, and you're also an adult at this kids movie. I have zero issue with any noise. You could not be able to hear Minions, and I'd be okay with it.
No,
Over the din.
I do think even at a kids movie, obviously at a kids movie, I have a little bit more forgiveness, but there is still some decorum. You're still in a public theater. Like you can't just be yapping away the whole time.
So did your son care?
Of course not. No, he doesn't have all these idiosyncratic
because the movie's
all
for
that
him.
stuff yet.
Yeah.
Yeah. Hey, I took a wonderful nap during the third act. I woke up. All the villains had transformed into animals. I had no idea what was going on in the movie whatsoever.
How were you able to sleep with all the apples?
The apple sound was at the beginning of the movie, and eventually all those rappers just was like white noise to me. Just lulled me to sleep.
That's great. That's
Wild.
funny.
Well, yeah.
Welcome to the show, guys.
Welcome to the podcast. This is episode 547. We're going to talk a movie that's also in theaters now. This movie's titled Fall, F-A-L-L. That's it. One word, 4 letters.
Is there another spelling to fall that I'm unaware of?
No.
Okay.
We should have done top 10 4-letter movies.
Have we not done that?
I know we've done 3. I don't know if we've
Okay.
done 4.
Okay. Yeah, we definitely could have done that.
Is having a the or an considered one of the letters in your 4-letter title?
Yes,
The has
for sure.
3 letters in it, of course.
Okay. All right. Just want to clarify.
Yeah. If you're yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
We should have done it just because it's not often that 4-letter movies come out. Like just 4 letters.
Right? Yeah. We should have done it.
The only one I can
Missed
think of is
opportunity.
like Heat.
Emma.
Salt.
I considered Salt for our list.
Because it's a
But
seasoning.
Yeah.
Oh, seasoning.
But I didn't have the guts.
Nice. All right. Speaking of list, we're also going to run through our top 10 movies with a season in the title. Not a seasoning in the title. Season in the title.
Oh, I was going to do paprika.
Sorry.
My list is so wrong.
Before we do that, we need to invite you to go to YouTube, type Cinereelists, R-E-E-L with an S on the end. Find the YouTube channel and subscribe there. And if you're listening to this, you could just as easily be watching this over on YouTube. You could also support us on Patreon at patreon.com/Cinereelists. Support the podcast. get extra after show audio as well as other things. Go check it out. You can leave us an Apple Podcast review on Apple Podcasts, 5 stars only, or send us an email to heyguys@cinereelists.com, REEL with an S on the end, with a comment, question, list suggestion, movie suggestion, any of those kinds of things. We got an email this week from somebody who suggested a list related to movies with great falls in them. By falls, I don't think he meant waterfalls. He meant people falling. And we decided not to do that list or accompany the movie Fall with top 10 greatest movie falls. But we're going to read it on this episode regardless, a little bit later on in the podcast. So point is, send us an email and we'll discuss it on the podcast. That being said, does anybody else need to say anything before we get into Fall?
No.
All right, let's do it. The movie of this week is in theaters now. It's Fall. We're going to talk about it right after this clip.
You're okay. Remember, only look up. What the hell are we doing? Hey, stop overthinking. How? I don't know. Concentrate on something else, like sing a nursery rhyme or some Okay. Ring around the rosy, pocket full of posies. Ashes, ashes, we all fall down, fuck. I wanted to pitch that one. Wow. Okay.
That was Fall, a 2022 survival thriller directed and co-written by Scott Mann. The movie stars Grace Caroline Curry, Virginia Gardner, Mason Gooding, and Jeffrey Dean Morgan, amongst others. The official IMDb plot synopsis for Fall is: 51 weeks later, she called her boyfriend's cell phone number to listen to his voicemail. Oh, wait. Wow.
That is.
I was reading my notes there.
And it's not her boyfriend anyway.
Let's rewind that a little bit.
Okay.
Best friends Becky and Hunter find themselves at the top of a 2,000-foot radio tower. Pretty succinct.
Oh, that's it?
Yep.
That's it.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
The full plot synopsis according to IMDb.
I would say find themselves stuck at the top would be maybe a better
They also
spot
don't
description.
find themselves. They climb themselves up there. It's not like Saw where they wake up at the top of a tower.
I think finding yourself somewhere means you didn't expect to be in that
I think you can
situation.
find yourself stuck, but if you just, I mean, they expect to be at the top of it. That was the whole point.
Sure.
They didn't expect to be stuck. That would
I
be
agree.
finding yourself.
Stuck is a better word than just
Yeah.
at the top.
Yeah.
Yeah, so this was a movie that I didn't care at all about, and Zach wanted to watch. I don't know where Kyle sat on this, but I did not care about Fall, but he was like, I think Zach mentioned it a couple times. We eventually decided to watch it. So
Yeah.
I like a good survival thriller.
all right. Why was that the main reason why you wanted to watch this, or what?
I had heard that they filmed it like without green screen.
No
I'm
way.
still
Not a chance.
I'm just saying I had heard that,
Well, I don't know.
and that
I don't
intrigued
know
me.
who your source is, but come on.
I also heard that the British monarchy is not hereditary, and it is. So I wouldn't believe everything you hear.
You heard that?
Oh yeah, I heard someone saying, "Oh yeah, it's not hereditary. The queen just, chose her son to be the successor." I'm like, I don't know if I believe. And this wasn't like someone telling me this. This was either heard or read it in a news source. I'm like, I don't believe that. So
And it
Are you having brain freeze?
No, I'm reading. I'm
Zach
reading a
is
review right
having a
now.
Oh, you're
stroke.
trying to find a review that says they actually climbed a 2,000 foot tower and filmed it entirely with drones, evidently.
Anyways, yeah. So that I found, I liked the trailer. I thought it looked like, oh, this will be a fun kind of thriller kind of thing. Something my wife and I could watch together. You know, like most scary movies are not something my wife would be interested in because, you know, it's too gory or it's too like, you know, supernatural or that kind of thing. But just like I'm scared to be up at a very tall tower. That's something I thought we could watch together. And so, yeah, I was looking forward to it.
So before we get into what you personally thought about it, I'm more curious what Julie thought about it.
Yeah, me
because
too.
There's definitely, I mean, it's not bloodless for sure, and it's a scary movie, and I don't know everything about Julie, but I don't think she's a particular, you know, fan of scary movies in general. Is that true, or am I
Right.
misperceiving?
Of course. Yeah.
Okay.
No, that's right.
All right. So what did she think about it before you say what you thought about it?
Well, she was definitely into it. She was interested. At first, she wasn't going to watch, but then she just couldn't not watching. So she was absolutely into it for sure. I think she was she was entertained. But there are some like, you know, like dream sequences and some other sequences that do get pretty, that lead more into traditional horror kind of imagery. And she really did not like that. And I think was at risk of having nightmares from some of the things that she saw. So, so unfortunately, I wish that wasn't in there. Otherwise, I think it would have been great.
Did you guys know that this movie was originally rated R?
Yeah.
And Lionsgate got they got distribution rights to it, and they want to make it PG-13. So they used AI technology to change all the F-bombs to like freaking and things like that. So they didn't dub it, but they actually like, you know, using AI technology, change the actors' mouths to say different words instead of F-bombs.
I will say they did a good job in that respect. I didn't notice anything.
The only thing I noticed was they kept saying we have to get off this freaking tower, and I'm like, that's who writes that way.
I didn't even notice that.
Okay, and then it made sense why they did it, you know, in the context. But right, I never saw their mouths move and thought that looks unnatural to me.
Sure.
Okay. So I'm reading an article about Fall, and they're absolutely claiming in the article that they didn't want to use green screen, and they built a replica of the top of the tower on top of a mountain and shot most of it up there and avoided green screen as much as possible.
But like those shots, when they're looking straight down, that's green screen.
It has to be. Even if it's
it
green
could be
screen
rotoscope.
laid on the top of a mountain, it's still green.
I mean, it could be rotoscope. It doesn't necessarily have to have any green screen whatsoever.
Why would you rotoscope something when you could green screen it? The amount of man hours different between those two are insane.
I'm just saying, all I know right now, just kind of skimming this article, he says that they didn't use green screen.
No, they try to avoid using green screen as much as possible, which I believe.
That was my language. That's not language that they said in the article.
I do believe that they built a tower like on a mountain somewhere high, so you could get this big open blue sky behind them. I'm sure they wanted to make it look as natural as possible because you could make this whole thing on green screen. But I would say it is. I'm 100% confident that there are green screen shots in this movie.
According to this other article, zero green screen was used for Fall.
I mean, I can't wait for the Blu-ray.
Yeah.
I have to see how they did this, if that's true.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know how you do it.
I just think there's a couple shots where they're looking straight down the tower. I'm like, there's no way that they're not that high. That has to be green screen.
I mean, in theory, they could have like matte painted it or something like that, I guess.
Well, couldn't they put him on the tower and then just like helicopter him up or whatever and then strap him in?
Yeah, right. So your two options are we can strap our actors to a tower, helicopter that tower high up in the air, shoot straight down, Or we could just put a green screen down there and fill in the rest. Like what?
Well, yeah, but
what
if they
is
don't
cheaper?
want to
What
use
is less
if
insurance?
they don't want to use the green screen, then we can do that.
I don't buy that there's no green screen in this movie. I don't buy it.
Okay.
I doubt it too. But if that's true, I'm willing to see how they did it. I'd love to.
Yeah, me too.
Show me the behind the scenes.
That's quite a trick and or a waste of money.
Well, anyway, so that's why I wanted to see it. What'd you guys think of the movie?
What did you think of it?
Me?
Yeah.
I liked it. I enjoyed myself.
All right.
I thought it was fun. It was kind of these kind of movies, sometimes it's just like they're making dumb decision after dumb decision. And I thought relatively they were intelligently trying to get out of their situation, a seemingly impossible situation. And I didn't think the movie was like too cutesy or cheesy, like I thought it was relatively gripping what they had to do. And I don't know, I enjoyed myself watching it for sure. So yeah, I liked it.
I remember seeing a trailer for this movie in the theater and thinking like, this looks like a dumb, cheesy late summer movie, and just forgot about it. And then you mentioned it a couple times, and I heard actually good things about it. So that when you said you want to do it for the show, I'm like, okay, why not? Let's give it a shot. I too like sort of survivalist movies where you take a couple people, put them in a possible situation. Like, have you guys ever seen Open Water?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, two
No.
divers left behind in the middle of the ocean with sharks circling them, and it's how do you get out of this? How do you survive this situation? Very much in the same vein as this one. It starts off kind of cheesy. I was a little unsure during that opening scene. Just
with all the social media-ness and stuff like that.
No, the opening,
the actual rock climbing.
The actual rock climbing scene. Yeah. Just the dialogue and the setup, like it was just telegraphing what's going to happen from yards away.
Mm-hmm.
But that was fine. I stuck with it. And once they got on the tower, there were some cheesy moments of the social media and the hashtag, and this movie I think is going to date itself pretty quickly with how it's referring to its use of social media and some of the character handles. But yeah, once they're on the tower, it's a rather interesting thriller. And like there's some quieter moments where they're trying to intelligently solve the situation, and then there's some peril moments where people are slipping and are falling and are, you're wondering, oh, is this person going to die in this situation? And how are they going to get out of it? I was entertained the whole time. I'd never really had a problem with it. There's little nitpicky things. It's not a perfect movie. I wouldn't say rush out and see it, but it's definitely fun. I watch it with my wife also, who hates heights. So some of those scenes of like people dangling from it, or when they're looking straight down the tower, was not her favorite moment. But yeah, we were definitely both engaged and gripped by it the whole time. James, I'm excited to hear from you.
I generally had fun watching the movie. It was a fun kind of thrill ride type of thing. It was good in that sense. It was very dumb and a little silly, and probably 15 minutes too long for me. But that's like, where if it was able to not be those three things, it would be like the perfect version of this movie. There's definitely way worse versions of this type of movie. And this one isn't that, but it's also not like the perfect version of this either. So, but if you're just looking for something kind of, I don't know, toothless, something you don't have to think very hard about, it's definitely this movie, I would say, along with Shallows. You know what I mean? Like all these types of movies.
Mm-hmm.
They're not gonna push your boundaries too far as like trying to figure the movie out or anything like that. I was happy that like 8/10 of the movie in, they changed things up a little bit. I liked that. And yeah. Overall, good.
I will say my least favorite part of the movie was the dad. He just was completely out of place for me and cheesy.
Yeah, the conversation
it.
he has with her outside the bar.
Oh yeah.
That was some first draft writing 101 right there.
Yeah. He was I just did not understand him at all. Yeah.
You didn't understand him, or you didn't?
No, like the casting made no sense to me. The dialogue made no sense to me. His character made no sense to me.
You don't think Jeffrey Dean Morgan should have played that role?
No.
Who would you have had instead?
I don't know.
Tom Hanks.
Jack Black.
Yeah, Tom Hanks would have been great. Tom Hanks absolutely would have elevated this movie.
I don't know, this movie's pretty elevated for me.
Yeah.
I was actually aiming for the rim shot, but that one worked too.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I mean, what is there to talk about with this movie? I mean,
Do we need a spoiler section? We didn't really talk about this beforehand.
I mean, there's not much substance to the movie without talking spoilers, in my opinion.
Well, if we do spoilers, before we get into that, let me just ask you a couple questions.
Please.
One, the height aspect of it, right? It plays off of people's fears of height.
Mhm.
Do you think that was effective? Were there times where you're like, ooh, this would be terrifying?
Yeah, for me, for sure. There's a couple shots where the camera's looking straight down the tower, and you get a sense of the scale of how high this tower really is, where like the tower just sort of disappears. You can't see the base. All you see is tower disappear to nothing, and then the desert below. So a couple times when they would do shots like that or show someone hanging off the tower, I definitely got the sense of this is very high up. Yeah.
I don't like heights at all, and this movie did not scare me in that way once. I don't know what to tell you.
Okay.
It didn't scare me, but I got the sense of the heights from this movie. I never felt like I was watching people on a mountaintop, not even a green screen, only 20 feet off the ground or something like that.
I think it has less to do with the actual visual and more about me caring about characters while they're on screen. I just they didn't make me care enough by the time things like that were happening. Whereas like watching Ethan Hunt on the side of a building is suspenseful to me. It's a height and it's a character that I don't want to see fall. You know what I mean? I'm actively rooting for them. 127 hours has to do with heights at all. In fact, it's just a guy with his arm stuck between two rocks. But I cared about that guy, and so I was worried about his well-being.
So you're into celebrities?
No, I'm just saying
Famous people.
I don't think the movie set up enough why you would care. For me.
The best friend character was not a good friend.
Yeah, she was pushing her way more than that person wanted to. Plus, she was a bad friend for other reasons.
Other reasons too, but right, just the whole like multiple times at the beginning, friends like, I don't want to do this, I don't want to do this, and she's like, come on, you can do this, stick in there. And she also kind of looked like Reese Witherspoon to me.
Like a dirty Reese Witherspoon.
Yeah, nice, good old dirty Reese Witherspoon.
Yeah, I mean that's not to say I didn't have fun watching it. I wasn't trying to figure the movie out, or I mean, I was. It was fun to watch the construction of it and see the inventiveness of like moving the camera around and stuff like that, presenting situations that might happen at the top of a tower like that. I thought all that was interesting. I just wasn't particularly held in suspense.
Sure. What I liked is they had very few options at the top. You kind of think like, how do you make a whole movie where you're just stuck up there? Like there's nothing you can do.
Mm-hmm.
But I thought very plausibly came up with a number of things that they could do. And I enjoyed watching that play out.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
kind of
for sure.
Are we doing spoilers or not?
I don't think we really need to.
Okay.
The ending comes fast.
Yeah.
How about that? I'll say that. The ending comes
the
fast.
very end, the last 2 minutes.
Yes,
Sure.
the last 2 minutes felt we're at one spot and then something happens and then we cut and we're at the end, and that
It was pretty unsatisfying.
Yeah, like I could have. So James, you said this movie could have been 15 minutes shorter. I could maybe have used 5 more minutes of this movie at the end there. Maybe
I
not
could have used
maybe
5 more
3.
minutes at the end and 20 minutes less in the middle.
Okay.
I definitely needed like a little connecting tissue between, the very end and the end.
Yeah, it lost its suspense for those last 5 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
I'll agree with you on that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What's his name? Jeffrey Dean Morgan is exactly the type of guy you cast in a movie like this. In that role.
Like he was recognizable enough to bring a little something to the movie, but he's not Tom Hanks where he's going to eat up your entire budget to be there.
Right. Exactly.
I just thought it was distracting how much he looks like a 60-year-old GQ model.
Well, that's just Jeffrey Dean Morgan, though. That's not his fault. He's so good looking.
Well, I'm just saying, like, why is he randomly like this silver fox of a dad? Like with a deep voice, swearing at his daughter.
I mean, the majority of the people in this movie were probably over attractive.
Yeah, it's very attractive
real
cast.
Life counterparts might be. I mean, even like the jerky dude who's walking through the desert with his dog was like the hottest version of that guy you could get.
The hottest meth head you could find.
Right, exactly.
He was he?
I mean,
I don't think he was necessarily clearly a meth head, but I think they're trying to maybe lean towards.
I was saying, was he attractive? I don't remember.
I mean, he had some great facial structure.
I think he was an attractive
cheekbones.
dude that they tried to make look like a, what do they call him? Desert rat? Something like that. People who just hang out in the desert and drive around and probably are wanted by the police.
Yeah, I don't know.
That's a thing.
I believe you.
I want to talk about what those guys do, but if I can't without spoiling it. But that was like the decision they made this movie was not fun, did not have a lot of dumb decisions. But I think they made a dumb decision.
Why?
Well, if I get into it, it's going to be a spoiler. I can't.
You mean
can't talk about it without it being
on the
a spoiler?
ground made a dumb decision.
The guys on the ground made a dumb decision. Yes.
Sure.
Why? You can't talk about it without it being a spoiler?
Yeah, right. No, I can't. I cannot talk about that without being a spoiler.
I don't think it's
and the whole
decision.
movie hinged on that moment. So
how about just for 2 minutes we'll do spoilers and just jump ahead 2 minutes if you don't want to hear spoilers. Does that work?
Okay.
Sure. And then we can.
Yeah,
right.
I'm timing it.
You time
2
it.
minutes.
You tell me when there's like 10 seconds left to wrap it up. Okay, here we go.
Spoilers
2 minutes.
Go.
Yeah.
All right.
Kyle,
so
go. Hurry up.
These two guys, these desert rats, we're gonna call them. They see that there are 2 women trapped on top of this tower, and then they decide to steal what I assume they assume is the woman's car, which we know is the woman's car, right?
Right.
What's their end game here? Like they know these women are up there. They figure these women aren't going to be rescued. They're going to die. So now you're going to have 2 dead women, and they're in possession of 2 dead women's stolen car.
Okay.
So why is it a smart idea to steal the car of people who are going to soon be dead, and then it'll be like, well, obviously these guys must have something to do with their death. They have these dead women's stolen car. That was the dumb decision. Like it's one thing to go into the car and steal things out of it. And be like, well, they're gonna be dead anyway, but to actually steal their car, to have the possession of what is now going to be dead women soon, you assume from them. That's my
All right,
question.
we only got 1 more minute. I'm just going to say they're not going to keep the car. They sold the car the next day, later that day. Like that car is gone and they sold it to someone else who also is not going to tell the police who sold them the car. They made a quick $2,000 and it's not like anyone's going to think they murdered these women. Like who kills people and then drags them to the top of a 2,000-foot tower? It's not going to get connected to them. They don't have the car anymore. They got rid of it right away.
Okay, you think they got rid of it right away? I don't know if they're that smart to get rid of it right away.
Wow.
No, people like that immediately get rid of things for like 5% value.
Yeah. Okay.
That's my thought, James.
Yeah, I think I agree with Zach, but I understand questioning the logic, Kyle.
Also, probably not the brightest bunch, right? So people who steal cars in general, like it's always a risky thing in general,
Yeah.
right? Even if there's not dead bodies involved.
And time.
And then the aliens came and abducted everybody.
Well, yeah. I mean, how they got the tower? Aliens.
Oh man, there's a version of this movie that does switch to aliens at the end, and I'm glad that was not this movie.
Now I want to tell you what I thought how this movie was going to end, but we have to go back to another 2-minute spoiler section.
This can't be the norm.
I know
for
it
the
can't
show.
be, but I had a prediction of how it was going to end. It didn't end this way, obviously, but I had a prediction.
Do you guys want to letterbox it?
Sure.
I gave it a 3.
Okay.
James jumping right into it.
Kyle?
3.5.
I gave it a 3.5. Here's my question. If later on James buys the Blu-ray, watches the making of, finds out that indeed there was no green screen in this movie, would you bump it up half a star just for the impressiveness of that?
No.
Okay.
No.
You don't care. You don't care. I would. I would
Okay.
give it 4 stars for that.
4 stars just for lack of green screen.
Well, because like that's old school filmmaking then. And I'm like, go for it. I already know that to take off those F words, they used like deep fakes.
Yeah, I told you that.
That's what he said.
Yeah. I know.
Um,
That's how I know that.
Okay.
So you use the technology that's available to you to edit the audio, but for some reason you don't do it for the visuals when
No.
all of those visuals to me read green screen. So what's the point of not using green screen if it's all going to read green screen anyway?
I don't know. Again, I don't know if it used green screen or not. I'm just saying I've seen a lot of bad green screen in my day. And so any excuse not to use it, I think, is go for it. If you have that desire, go for it. It saves us from like, do you remember Vengeance? That was last week's movie.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Do you remember every single scene with them driving in the car? How terrible the green screen out the windows was? It was the worst out the car window green screen I've seen in years.
Yeah, we didn't discuss it, but I definitely noticed it.
You remember that, Kyle?
Yeah, I do. Yeah.
I didn't notice.
James didn't notice. He's a connoisseur of green screen when it comes to the fall, but in Vengeance, nothing.
Right, exactly. I'm not expecting it in Vengeance. I'm expecting it in this movie.
That's right. Cool.
All right. A 3 and 2 3.5s for fall. We're going to get into our related list for the week. That list being the top 10 movies with a season in the title. But before we do that, we got an email this week as well from good old Troy Carruthers, friend of the show from Canada. Troy writes, "You don't need to use this as your list heading, but I decided to take James's challenge to make a fall-related list." So we should say at the end of the last episode, we said we were going to watch the movie Fall and that we would do a list related to it, but we didn't know what it would be. And we threw out some suggestions. That was one of them. So Troy's writing in with his top 10 movie scenes with characters having a significant fall. Related according to A, significance of the fall, and B, how great or memorable the scene is. So he's talking about a literal fall, not a fall from grace.
No, I think it
What
means
I can tell.
characters falling from one height to a lower altitude.
Yeah.
Right. His number 10 is The Dark Knight. Yep, there was
Okay.
a fall in that movie for sure. Cliffhanger is number 9.
The opening of this movie gave me strong cliffhanger vibes.
Yeah. Gave me strong MI2 vibes.
Whenever I see people rock climbing in a movie from a wide shot, I was impressed by that too. Like
It looked
that seemed to
fake in
be
this one.
Hmm?
It looked fake in this one to me.
Really the wide shot
I
of
thought,
the
it, I
rock
thought it was
climbing.
real.
I felt like there was a couple of the wide shots where I was like, I'm pretty sure those are digital people. I don't think.
Hmm.
Oh, really? Because people can actually do that.
No,
So why
I
wouldn't they just use people that can do that?
Because you
Insurance?
don't have to. His number
Oh,
8,
man.
While You Are Sleeping from 1995. He writes, there are so many scenes if you look for them, but I'll say the fall into the subway. I don't think I've ever seen this. Have you
Has
guys
anyone seen this movie?
Zach,
Nope.
have you ever seen While You Were Sleeping?
No,
Oh,
I've seen parts of it, I think.
Isn't that the movie with the postman in it where he's like,
No,
his lady's in a coma or something? I don't know.
no. The guy is in the coma, and the girl, I think it's Drew Barrymore,
Who's in the
is
coma?
some guy,
Oh, okay. Nobody.
not Kevin Costner.
Nobody well known. It's Drew
Um,
Barrymore.
I think so.
No, it's not Drew Barrymore.
Oh, While You're Sleeping, Sandra Bullock.
Drew
Sandra
Barrymore was rarely in serious movies.
She was in Never Been Kissed.
Right. Just not.
is there a
not
coma
While
in
You
that
Were
movie?
Sleeping.
Oh, that's not what. Yeah, but those are very similar movies, similar time they came out.
Never Been Kissed is a similar movie to While You Were Sleeping.
Isn't it?
I
They're
think
both romantic
While You
comedies.
Were Sleeping is like deadly serious about somebody in a coma.
Yeah, I think it's a
No,
drama.
While You're Sleeping. I thought that was like a. Oh, it's not a rom com.
No, I don't
No.
think so. Never Been
A
Kissed
hopeless-
is solid rom-com. I don't think Never While You Were Sleeping is.
Its genres are comedy, drama, romance.
What for While You Were Sleeping?
I mean, the premise is she pretends to be his girlfriend. Like they're not dating, but he goes in a coma and she pretends to be his girlfriend while he's in a coma, and then he wakes up.
And antics ensue.
Yeah.
Interesting. I thought it was more of like a what's that movie with Kumail Nanjiani?
The Big Sick.
More like The Big Sick, but like the fully dramatic version. But evidently I'm wrong about that.
I think she's pretending to be the girlfriend. I mean, the dad is
Jeffrey Dean Morgan.
Peter Boyle.
Isn't there a movie that's like a serious drama about somebody going into a coma? This might be the movie I was thinking about with Kevin Costner, who may or may not be in this movie that I vaguely have in the back of my mind, where like somebody goes into a coma and then it's very dramatic and they like stay by them for many years and then eventually move on. And then right after they move on, the person wakes up and then they have to decide like new person or this other person that they sat by.
I don't know.
So if anybody listening knows what movie I'm talking about, please send it in. heyguys@cinereelists.com. Troy's number 7 is Point Break. There's the skydiving scene. Certainly, they're falling. Number 6, Toy Story. That's not flying. That's falling with style. Towards the end, when the toys are falling through the sky. Number 5, National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation, when Clark falls off the roof. Oh, good scene. Great scene. Number 4, Die Hard, of course. The end of Die Hard. When Hans Gruber is falling off the Nakatomi Tower building. Great.
That's a good fall.
Mm-hmm. Number 2, the Lord. Where was this number 3?
It's next to
okay.
Die Hard.
Journey to the Center of the Earth from 2008. A movie that's never made a list on this podcast. The journey involves a very long fall. I would never put this so high on the list, but I'm on a Brendan Fraser high right now after seeing the big ovation he got at the Venice Film Festival. Was Brendan Fraser in Journey to the Center of the Earth?
I thought that was The Rock.
I thought it was The Rock too. Or was The Rock in Witch Mountain? Race to Witch Mountain.
Rock is definitely in Witch Mountain.
Okay.
Oh, Rock could be in Land That Time Forgot also.
Land of the Lost, you mean?
No, Land of the Lost is Will Ferrell.
I think Rock is in Journey to the Center of Earth 2.
Oh.
Brendan Fraser is in Journey to the Center of the Earth.
Okay.
I love that we're spending so much time discussing a movie that none of us have seen. It's very rare.
Number 2, The Lord of the Rings, the Two Towers.
You didn't even hear me.
I heard you.
I know.
I rolled right by it. Lord of the Rings, the Two Towers, Fly You Fools, when Gandalf, falls into the...
Wrong movie.
That is the wrong movie. That happened in the first movie?
It happens in both.
No, it happened in Fellowship of the Ring.
No, he falls, but we see the fall in the second movie. The
He
whole big
falls into
long
the
fall
pit.
sequence.
Right, they show the fall in the second movie.
Yeah.
They
Right.
repeat it in the second movie, but when he actually lets go of the edge, that first time that happens is in the first movie.
That's right.
I personally would associate that moment with the first movie.
No, because it's like a 5-minute sequence in the second movie.
Yeah, but
The actual falling.
But the emotional impact of the fall is felt much more in the first movie. And the second one, you're like, "Whoa, Gandalf, how'd you survive?" He's like, "Let me tell you the story." And then you see the actual fall,
No.
but
That's not how it went. Well, I wouldn't think it's wrong enough to correct Troy Carruthers about it because, again, there's like a long sequence of falling in the second movie.
Mm-hmm. His number one, The Empire Strikes Back, which is Luke after losing his hand. He falls into the garbage tubes.
And that's even
Does he?
that's a
in Cloud
jump.
City. In Cloud City. Yep.
Those are garbage tubes?
Yeah.
Okay.
They open to drop garbage into the
Gotcha.
atmosphere.
And then they have just the perfect curvature to slow your descent into a nice slide.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Into a thing you can hold on to.
Right, exactly. Like how convenient they designed it that way.
Right on top of an radio antenna. Of some sort.
Does the lightsaber like cauterize the wound as it's cutting you?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. So like no one bleeds out or anything.
Not in that case.
Okay.
I have a Star Wars question for you, James.
Okay.
May this have been explained. Luke's lightsaber.
Uh-huh.
He loses the blue one in Empire Strikes Back.
The blue lighted one, yes.
Right. He has the green one in Return of the Jedi.
Uh-huh.
And then in the newest sequels, like he had whatever, the bug-eyed Nepeta, I can't think of her last name, character.
Lupita Nyong'o.
Thank you. Yes. She has the blue lightsaber.
Mm-hmm.
How is did they ever explain how the blue lightsaber is recovered, or is that like in some comic book somewhere?
You mean what determines the color of your lightsaber?
No. Like Lupita's character gives Rey the Luke's blue lightsaber, the one that he dropped at Cloud City.
Mm-hmm.
Do they ever explain how that was recovered?
Not that I know of.
Okay.
It's possible that was in some book somewhere, but I don't think they ever did in a movie or anything.
It always just kind of bothered me. Like I just assumed I fell into some giant gas giant and it was gone.
Yeah, nothing's ever really gone.
No. All right. Sorry for that sidetrack. We were on that topic, so.
No problem. Good list, Troy. But we're not doing that list today.
Oh, do you want to know the answer?
Sure.
Yeah, please.
According to one corner of the canon or whatever, EU Legends, is that they made a clone of Luke off of his hand, and that clone had the lightsaber, and then Mara Jade killed the clone and got it.
Yeah, that's a dumb answer. I don't accept that one.
So it's not the actual lightsaber.
No, it is.
Oh, the hand was attached to the lightsaber?
Yeah.
Oh, so they recovered the hand somehow.
Yeah.
And the lightsaber.
And made a clone.
And then
from
cloned the entire.
And the clone's name is Luke, but with 2 U's.
Luke.
Like E.T. saying his name or something.
Luke.
That's great. I like that.
All right, let's get to our list for this week. It's the top 10 movies with a season in the title. Who would like to go first?
I do. I want to.
Do it.
My number 10, Captain America, the Winter Soldier. I don't have anything to say about this movie, but
you don't like
I
that
liked
movie?
It. No, I gave it a 4 out of 5.
Okay.
But I don't need to discuss it.
I'll go next.
Right.
My number 10 is The Fall from 2006, directed by Tarsem Singh. I think this movie has been discussed a lot about I believe it's a patient in the hospital during the Spanish, I don't know, a war.
Yeah.
And he is telling this tall tale to a girl in the hospital.
Mm-hmm.
And it's very visually striking.
Never seen it.
James, you should see it. You like it.
Yeah, you would like this a lot. Spanish-American War?
That sounds right.
Yeah, sure.
I have it on Blu-ray. I plan on watching it, but I have not seen it yet.
Nice.
I think I've seen all of Tarsem Singh's other movies, which is weird because isn't The Fall kind of considered the good one?
What are his other ones?
The Cell
Oh
Okay.
yeah.
and the Immortals. Evidently, he likes putting the word "the" in the titles of his movies.
Loves it.
This is
I-
way
I
more
also
watchable
watched
than
his
The Cell.
TV adaptation of The Wizard of Oz, which was really cool, but got
Okay.
canceled.
Hmm.
Yeah. There might be another one that I'm forgetting. My number 10 from 1992 is Mr. Baseball. Great movie. Tom Selleck goes to Japan, plays baseball. It's awesome.
Where's the
Baseball season?
Where's the
Baseball
season?
season.
Oh, jeez. Okay.
I'm not mad.
Yeah. No.
Okay, my number 9 is Autumn Sonata. This is a Swedish movie from 1978. It's Ingmar Bergman's last theatrically released film. Everything he made after that was for TV.
Really?
And
Interesting.
yeah,
But then they took a bunch of those TV things and made them feature length, right?
well, so like he's got famous movies like Scenes from a Marriage
Mm-hmm.
that are 6 hours long because it's a TV show, and they just put it as a 6 hour straight through and call it a movie, but it's a TV show.
Right, but
Same
there's like a
for-
3.5 hour cut of that they consider
Right.
a movie.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But they never exhibited them in theaters.
Oh.
It was TV. Yeah.
Interesting.
And I'm sure he made feature length TV productions. That was his last theater released film. And it's a drama about like a retired piano player and her daughter, her estranged daughter, and them like dealing with their estranged relationship or whatever. So it's pretty heavy of a film, but it's really well acted, really well shot. And I just really enjoyed it. So I gave this one a 4 out of 5 as well. If you like Ingmar Bergman, it's definitely one to check out. And it's called Autumn Sonata.
My number 9 is Wet Hot American Summer from 2001. It's a David Wade movie. It's a parody of 80s camp movies, starring all your favorite comedians from the turn of the millennia. It's a movie where the first time I saw it, I did not like it. And then I gave it a second chance several years later and found it hilarious. So you just have to be in the right mindset, I think, to watch it.
I like that movie. It's definitely one of those that like the more you watch it, the better it is.
The funnier it is, for sure. Yeah.
Yeah. It's that
The
genre.
first time you watch it, you're kind of like, are these jokes? And you watch it a couple more times and you're like, these are the funniest jokes.
Because there's not a huge story to it. Like, it's just sort of
It's a
a
hangout.
bunch of scenes
Yeah.
cobbled together. Yeah.
Yeah. My number 9 is from 1995. It's The Basketball Diaries, starring a really young Leonardo DiCaprio as a young upstart basketball player who gets addicted to heroin. It's really good, especially if you like early
James.
Leo. My number 9.
James.
Zach, what's the
Okay.
chance like the Deer Hunters on his list?
Oh, I would be surprised if he has winter, spring, summer, or fall
A single
on his
traditional
list.
season? Yeah.
Yeah. My number 8 is Downfall from 2004. This is a movie about the last like week of Hitler's life, where he's kind of trapped in a bunker and he's just kind of angry at everyone because he's losing the war, and then he commits suicide. And it's really dramatic and really well acted and really good. So Downfall.
My number 8 is Winter's Bone from 2010, starring Jennifer Lawrence, probably her breakout movie. This is, I guess, a neo-noir in the Ozarks, where she is looking into murder and drugs and just a bunch of terrible things happening to her and her family. And it's a pretty gritty movie, but it's pretty good.
My number 8 is A Dry White Season from 1989. Movie stars Donald Sutherland, Susan Sarandon, and Marlon Brando, which is quite a cast for 1989, in my opinion. Has to deal with apartheid in South Africa. Man, this movie is brutal. Absolutely brutal. It definitely pulls no punches with the idea that the white people that existed in South Africa in the 70s were not very nice to the black people that existed in South Africa. That's for sure. There's multiple scenes of children getting shot in the back by soldiers and stuff like that. And the gist of the movie is like this guy who's being interrogated is killed by the police, and then the police try to frame it as a suicide, and then a trial ensues, and this guy played by Donald Sutherland tries to he's not a lawyer, so he tries to assist in the defense of the guy who committed suicide, quote unquote committed suicide. Basically, he wants the police to pay for this action, and is considered a traitor in his community and things like that because he's going against the police. And it's one of those movies that like I just can't imagine them making today because it makes a very strong statement against white people. I would say, even though they're not like American white people or even, you know, people in the UK or somewhere else. It's just a very stark image watching white soldiers gun down black children and things like that. And the movie pulled no punches, and I don't even know any stars that would be in this kind of movie anymore. Like if you think of, I don't know about Donald Sutherland, maybe he was in those types of movies. I know Susan Sarandon was definitely like in movies that pushed buttons. Certainly Marlon Brando was towards the end of his career. You know what I mean? He was not afraid to be in anything, basically. Like what were they going to do to him at that point? But this is a good one. It definitely, even though it's a 1989 movie, felt like a movie made in the 70s, for better or for worse. But it's a good one, and I think an important story to tell, but a tough watch. My number 8.
I've never
Cool.
heard of it, but I'm intrigued.
Check it out. Just be ready to be shocked.
My number 7 is called Spring, Summer, Fall, Winter, and Spring. And it probably has the most number of seasons in the title of
For
anyone's
sure,
list.
that one wins.
Yeah. And this is a very beautiful film about a Buddhist monk who lives on this floating temple in the middle of a lake. And he raises a young boy, and the movie covers the boy's life, you know, so this change of seasons kind of marks the years that pass by of the boy's life. And the boy like is mentored by the monk. Then he goes off and does his own thing, kind of has his wayward period of life. And then he comes back to the monk to like try to make attribution, or I don't know what the right word is, for like things that he's done. And it's just such a beautiful, quiet film. It's really good. And I liked it a lot. It's called Spring, Summer, Fall, Winter, and Spring.
That is a list movie I've not gotten around to seeing yet.
How
Yeah.
long is it?
That's a fun one.
It's a fun one.
Well, I mean, like it's not a hard one to watch.
Oh, that's
it's
good.
it's,
Okay,
it's
that's good to
good.
hear.
It's an hour and 43 minutes long.
Oh, that's very doable.
Yeah.
What am I doing not watching that one?
Yeah, another 4 out of 5 for me.
Cool. My number 7 is the previously mentioned Downfall from 2004. Nothing to mention except it also generated a great YouTube meme for a while.
It did.
Another-
An okay YouTube meme.
Okay. I think it was, when people used it well, it was pretty funny, but it was also overused for every situation, as most memes are.
That's the point of them, right? Use them
Yeah.
until everybody can't stand it anymore. And then
Right.
it
Just
disappears.
wring everything out of it. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Excuse me. My number 7 is The Winning Season from 2009. It's a sports comedy movie starring Sam Rockwell, and Rooney Mara and Emma Roberts are in the movie. Rooney Mara was almost unrecognizable to me in this movie just because she was so young, looked so different, and she was blonde for some reason. In pretty much any other movie I've seen her in, she is not blonde. Anyway, Sam Rockwell plays a basketball coach of the the girls' JV high school basketball team, and he's kind of a loser. And this is like his last attempt at like being a coach and getting his life together at the same time. And he is going through a divorce, and his daughter doesn't like him very much. His own teenage daughter doesn't like him very much. And so over the course of the movie, he figures out how to relate to teenage girls and realizes that they're people too, I guess is the point. Pretty fun movie. I enjoyed it, especially if you want to see a comedy with Sam Rockwell front and center. This is definitely that. And if you like Emma Roberts and Rooney Mara, they're in it quite a bit. My number 7.
Okay. My number 6 is The Kings of Summer from 2013. This is a coming of age movie about 3 teenage boys that spend a summer. They like build a house and try to live off the land. And it's a really great movie. And I really like these kind of coming of age movies where it's a group of boys and they grow up, as they are all engaged in mischief and living off the land. And it's really fun. I recommend it for sure. The Kings of Summer, I gave it 4 out of 5.
Good movie, was on my short list. Glad you mentioned it. My number 6 is also the previously mentioned Captain America: the Winter Soldier. This is, of all the Marvel movies, the one I probably want to rewatch the most. It's a cool little paranoid thriller a la 70s cinema.
You've never rewatched this movie?
I haven't. I've rewatched
you should definitely
most
do
Marvel
that.
movies. Okay.
It's awesome. Yeah. There's not many that I would say have a lot of rewatch value, but that is one of them.
Yeah, like I said, it's the one of all of them, the one I want to see again the most.
Nice. My number 6 is from 1999. It's The Hurricane, starring Denzel Washington.
Okay, I like this one. This is clever.
He's a boxer. It's based on a true story about a boxer who is accused of a crime that he did not commit, and then he gets convicted of said crime and then spends 20 years in prison before being able to prove his innocence. And it's kind of billed as a sports drama, but it's really like 25% sports and like 75% courtroom / legal positioning type stuff. And it's all very inspirational, and Denzel was definitely kind of the hot star in Hollywood at the time. Like this movie was pushed hard for Oscars, and I think he got a nomination, right, for Best Actor, but I don't think he won until Training Day.
Training Day, yeah.
But I believe this was his first nomination, and it's a good movie. But don't watch it as a boxing movie. Watch it as like a injustice being righted.
Or if you're a Bob Dylan fan.
Legal drama.
It's a great Bob Dylan song. Yeah.
With a Bob Dylan. Like, literally, the Bob Dylan song is about him. So,
yeah. The Hurricane.
Movie. My number 6.
Nice. My number 5 is called Late Spring. It's from 1949, and it's directed by Yasujiro Ozu. And I love this movie. It's a 4.5 out of 5 for me. I first saw this movie in college as part of a class, and so we definitely like studied it, and I think that was part of why I enjoyed it so much. like spending time and reading about it. I read a book about this movie, but it is so beautiful. The basic plot is there's a girl. She's in her late 20s. In Japan, and everyone's trying to convince her to get married, but she doesn't want to get married because she has an ailing father that she's taking care of. And so she knows if she got married, she'd have to leave her father, and so she doesn't want to. So the movie's about their relationship and like loyalties and duty and that kind of thing. Ozu is like, he's a very special, unique kind of director when it comes to movies. Like when you talk about Japanese cinema, Kurosawa comes up a lot, and then Ozu. Those are like the two that come up the most. Very different filmmakers. Kurosawa makes samurai films for the most part, and Ozu makes these kind of like transcendent, spiritual family dramas. And I don't know, I was a sucker for Late Spring. I thought it was really well acted, really well paced. The cinematography, he's got this unique style where, all the actors are in, traditional Japanese housing where there's no chairs or, everyone sits on the ground. And so the camera is like much closer to the ground than it would be in normal Western cinema. And just all of it is just, it's very different than what you would see in traditional Western cinema. And I totally bought in. I was into it. So The Late Spring, my number 5.
This is another list movie. I've seen Tokyo Story. I appreciated it, but I don't know if I was engaged with it.
Okay.
Will I feel the same about Late Spring?
Personally, I liked Late Spring better than Tokyo Story.
Okay.
Because I found the characters more engaging. But I also liked Tokyo Story. I gave Tokyo Story 3 out of 5, and I gave Late Spring 4.5 out of 5.
Oh, so that's a big difference.
If that says anything to you.
Okay. Good to know. My number 5 is a movie from last year, 2021. One of my, I think it was a top 5 movie for me for last year, and The Harder They Fall. This is the Western movie with a predominantly black cast. Jonathan Majors, Idris Elba, Regina King, Zazie Beetz, Delroy Lindo, Lakeith Stanfield, and others. And I just found this to be a really refreshing take on the Western genre, both in casting, both in cinematography, and in the action, the storytelling of it. A movie that I have not watched since I saw it for the first time, but really enjoyed last year.
My number 5 is I Know What You Did Last Summer.
Oh, there it is,
Whoa.
finally.
Disappointed. Very disappointed.
Disappointed.
Yeah. I thought you were going to go the whole way.
I could have, but it would have been a lot of movies I didn't like. This movie stars Jennifer Love Hewitt, Sarah Michelle Gellar, Ryan Felipe, Freddie Prinze Jr., Johnny Galecki. I don't remember him being in the movie, but evidently he's in it. And Brigitte Wilson. And this was my jam in 1997. This is like my crew of people for sure. This is like just 1 year after Scream kind of reinvigorated the idea of slasher movies. And where Scream kind of put a twist on the genre, I Know What You Did Last Summer essentially just brought it back to classic 80s slasher formula where like the killer has no relation to the cast itself. They just happen to be in the path of a madman, basically. And it's a good one. I like this movie. I like the sequel. I think was there a third one? I don't remember. If there was, I'm sure I liked that too. But I definitely like the first and second one. Good, dumb horror movies from the mid to late 90s. Love it. My number 5.
What are your opinions on Urban Legend?
Somehow dumber than I Know What You Did Last Summer.
Yeah, it's a dumb movie. Yeah,
it's a dumb movie. I mean, it's it's like watching The Fall. It's a movie you put on to turn your brain off while you watch it.
Okay, my number 4
Maybe not The
is
Fall. I meant
Fall. Okay,
Fall.
yeah.
Okay.
Go ahead, Zach.
My number 4 is Mission Impossible Fallout. And this movie is awesome. I'm going to say, I'm welcome to counterexamples if you guys have them, but I think that the Mission Impossible franchise is the best action franchise we currently have. As far as like still producing movies. I think it is the best action franchise, contemporary franchise. It's so good consistently. And this movie is just pure cinematic entertainment. And I loved it. So Mission Impossible Fallout, my number 4.
Good pick. My number 4 is Palm Springs from 2020. The Andy Samberg, Kristen Milioti. Thank you. Milioti.
Chiwetel
Oh,
Elijah
come on.
Ford.
Anyway, Groundhog Day like movie. Refreshing, especially to come out at the beginning of the pandemic when we all were experiencing Groundhog Day like scenarios. Anyway, it was the perfect movie for the time, and it was actually a good movie also.
I like that movie as well. My number 4 is Portrait of a Lady on Fire. It's an amazing movie.
Fire season?
Yeah, fire season.
Okay.
What is fire season?
I
Like
don't
out
know,
west,
Ask the
you know.
Californians.
Well,
Sure they
I
could
mean,
tell
They
you.
have a fire. What is fire season? I'm just curious.
Fire season is just a season that very little rain happens, super hot, and any fire just will, burn up.
What is that season?
well, it used to be like late summer, but now it's kind of year round.
Yeah, unfortunately.
Yeah.
This movie is a period piece set in France about a lady who needs to sit for a portrait so that her father can find her a suitor. This is before photography, and so you get a painting painted of you, and I guess the painting travels. I don't know. I don't
Yeah,
remember the details.
Payne travels around the countryside to like
Right.
eligible bachelors.
People decide whether they want to meet with you or not based on the painting. So she doesn't want to do that. She's not looking to get married, especially in that way. And she won't sit for a painter. And then he hires a female painter, and she kind of gets into the idea of sitting for this particular female painter. And it's a love story. It's really well shot, really well acted, really well directed, put together, everything. And if you haven't seen it, you should. Portrait of a Lady on Fire, my number 3 or 4. One of those.
I believe it's your 4.
Maybe both.
Yeah, that's your 4. My number 3 is The Virgin Spring from 1960. This is another Ingmar Bergman film. And I like this film definitely more than Autumn Sonata. This film is awesome. And I would say if you want to watch an Ingmar Bergman film, there's so many that he's famous for, but this one is a winner. This one is really, really interesting. It stars Max von Sydow, and he plays a dad. He's got a teenage daughter. The teenage daughter goes somewhere, and some like shepherds or something attack her and kill her. And then they, by happenstance, go to the dad's house and ask to stay there, just as like travelers by. And then the dad somehow connects and realizes that they're who killed his daughter. And so he takes revenge on the murderers. And the movie is just so intense and beautifully shot in this like really high contrast black and white. It's just it's a very interesting movie, and I liked it a lot. It's called The Virgin Spring. My number 3, 4.5 stars.
So many Criterion Collection movies have the word spring in it.
Yeah, it's true.
Weird.
I know, like, Zach, you by far have the most list movies so far
Yeah.
on our list.
Who knew?
Yeah.
Who knew?
Who knew
Yeah.
that Zach saw all the list movies?
Won't be the last.
I've heard of a lot of these, and they're all on my watch list.
Oh, you got to check out Virgin Spring. It's awesome.
Yeah.
And there's like a layer on top of like metaphor and fable. It's great.
There-
There's some magical realism.
There's one, I'm wondering if it's on your list. I'm not gonna say what it is, but one that I was doing my research. I'm like, no way, this is making my top 10 list. But I wonder if it's gonna make yours.
Oh, that's funny.
It's a list movie. It has a season in it. We'll see if it gets there.
Okay.
But we'll first do my number 3. My number 3 won best documentary in the most recent Oscars. You probably forgot about that because other things happened right before that moment. And this is Summer of Soul, or When the Revolution Could Not Be Televised. This is a documentary about the Harlem Cultural Festival, which happened the summer of 1969, same time as Woodstock, but was in service of the Harlem community and featured a wide range of predominantly African-American bands and singers from the late 60s. And it's both an awesome documentary because the footage is incredible. There was footage taken 50 years ago that just sat, and Questlove was able to make a documentary from that footage. Then you also have moments where they interview the artists who performed and like have them watch their footage from 50 years ago and sort of reflect on that time. And then also have people who are kids watch that footage and be validated that something that they thought maybe happened actually did happen when they were that young. If you like documentaries and you like great music, you have to check out Summer of Soul.
Great movie. I agree. Have you seen that one yet, Zach?
I've seen the first half.
Oh, we gotta keep going.
Oh yeah, I loved it.
Gotta
It
keep
was
going.
great. Yeah, must watch.
My number 3 is also a movie with a spring in it. This one's just called Spring from 2014.
Oh, the horror film.
I think I've brought it up before. It is a horror
Yeah.
movie. Although Rotten Tomatoes calls it a mystery thriller, and I'd say it's definitely closer to that than a straight horror movie. It's one of the movies that, in my opinion, ushered in the idea that like new horror, like new hipster horror, where it doesn't have to be all about, you know, the blood or the slasher or anything like that. It's like a romance horror movie where, yeah, it's less about screaming or scaring you and more about like intensity of emotion, I guess, in a weird way. It's also kind of like a travel movie. It's about a guy who travels to Italy and falls in love with a local and stuff like that. So there's just tons of beautiful shots of Italy, and it's really good. I love this movie. It's a 4.5 on Letterboxd for me. Spring from 2014.
I want to check it out because it seems like the genre of horror that I would actually really enjoy.
I think you would like it. It's like an hour and 50 minutes with credits too, so it's not like crazy long or anything.
Okay.
It's digestible.
Nice. My number 2 is a movie that I think I talk about a lot on the show. I know Kyle likes it as well. It's called The Lion in Winter.
Also my number 2.
Oh, nice.
Perfect.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Take it away.
It's a story about Henry II and his kids. And, it has Katharine Hepburn and Anthony Hopkins just basically bickering for 2 hours. And it's just glorious. It's just, it's like, it's so good. It also has a very young, no, sorry. It's Peter O'Toole and Katharine Hepburn
that's
bickering. It's Anthony Hopkins' first role, and he plays Richard, who later becomes Richard the Lionhearted. It's just so well acted. The dialogue is so biting in just this in a way that's like very like a stage play. And they're in this drafty castle that makes you never want to live in that time period. And it's so good. I really enjoy this movie, The Lion in Winter.
Yeah, just to add to that, the Dark Ages setting is great. The castle looks incredibly cold. Like, this is the king, and he looks uncomfortable. You can only imagine what the common people are going through. And every scene is great. You'll have 2 characters who said we'll snipe at each other, and then they'll come to an agreement. And then the next scene is one of those characters going to another family member and saying, "Hey, me and so just made this deal, but how about you and I instead do this?" And like, you never know who to trust and what anyone's end game is during this movie. It's so much fun.
Hearing you guys describe it, I was like, I think I've seen this movie. And then I realized I think Zach made me watch this for one reason or another. I don't remember
Did I?
why. I gave it a 3.
Okay.
Huh?
So you liked it.
I mean, well enough, I guess.
You liked it as much as Fall.
Sure.
As Fall.
Yep.
No green screen in Line of Winter, that's for sure.
Are you positive?
Is
Yes,
that for sure?
I'm quite positive.
We might need to watch a making of.
Also has a young Timothy Dalton in it.
Yeah.
It's probably too stage play for me.
That's probably why you didn't like it.
Yeah.
It's just
Maybe.
characters talking to each other with the camera.
I don't
That's
like
the fourth
movies where
wall.
the characters talk to each other.
I'm a sucker for those. I do like those.
My number 2 is the aforementioned Winter's Bone. Great film. Great film. Directed by Deborah Granick. And it's also maybe Jennifer Lawrence's first feature film. If not the first that she got recognized for. Maybe,
Yeah.
on a big level. I believe she was nominated for an Academy Award on this as well, possibly. I don't remember. Yes, she got an Oscar nomination, but did not win. Deborah Granick made this movie in 2010 and didn't make another movie until 2018 when she made Leave No Trace, which, if you've seen Leave No Trace, is also an awesome movie. And I'm really looking forward to the next one she makes in 2026. Winter's Bone. Great movie.
Nice. Okay, my number one is 500 Days of Summer, which is a movie I just really love. It's so good. It's just it's a I guess it's not a romantic comedy. It's kind of like an anti-romantic comedy where it is a romantic comedy, but it's about a relationship falling apart rather than coming together. And stars Joseph Gordon-Levitt and Zooey Deschanel, and Chloe Grace Moretz is in it as well. And this movie has really clever editing and a funny narrator that kind of like holds your hand through the movie. And there's things that are unique in this film that I've never seen in another film. Like, for instance, they'll show you the same scene in a side by side, and one side is what he's expecting it to go like, or he's dreaming it will, and the other side is how it actually goes. And you're watching them play out simultaneously, and it's just really clever and poignant, and yeah, I don't know. This movie scratched. This movie was what I wanted it to be, and it was really good. So 500 Days of Summer, 5 out of 5 movie for me, my number one.
All right. I was wondering if A Brighter Summer Day was going to make your top 10.
It's on my list for sure, but I only gave it a 3.5.
That movie bored me to tears.
It's supposed to be like what, the Taiwanese Godfather?
Exactly. Minus the murder and the intrigue and the fish.
Sure.
Like it's a Taiwanese epic drama, but it's very small scale.
Yeah, I didn't find it super gripping.
No.
I did like parts of it, but I didn't find it super gripping.
No.
And it's really long.
Yeah, it's hours long.
Like 3.5
at least.
Think.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay. Good. Glad we have similar opinions on that one. My number one has been mentioned already, but it's a great number one, Mission Impossible Fallout. Zach, you said before that this is probably our greatest current action franchise, and I would agree. And this is a franchise which keeps getting better. Like, oftentimes, I mean, this franchise has highs and lows also, but usually the longer these go on, you get some diminishing returns. We're seeing that with like the Fast and Furious franchise, where they kind of hit their peak 10 years ago, and each one's not quite as good as the previous one. I would say that Fallout is the best Mission Impossible movie, and it's also the most recent, and it makes me really excited for the final two. I'm curious to see Dead Reckoning. Is that what it's called? It's a two-parter.
Yeah, and I'm hoping for good things. The trailer didn't wow me, I would say.
Yeah, it shows a stunt, which I'm sure was technically hard to accomplish, but it wasn't a blow me away moment.
It wasn't. No.
So
yeah,
I'll be curious to see where they're going with it. But I have faith in Tom Cruise and Christopher McQuarrie, so I'm holding out.
I just can't believe you guys put Fallout above Ghost Protocol. That's crazy talk.
Fallout
Ghost,
is a
Ghost Protocol's amazing.
What are you talking about? Ghost Season?
Ghost Protocol.
No, I know. Well, okay.
I'm not saying you should have picked it for your list. I'm just saying
see.
it's not the best Mission Impossible movie. Fallout isn't.
Having rewatched them all in the last year, Ghost Protocol has a bunch of amazing set pieces, but does not stick the landing. I think the last set piece, which I can barely remember, is the weakest. Where Fallout, I think, is the opposite, where it ends with a helicopter chase, which is one of the greatest moments on a Mission Impossible movie I've ever seen. So
I think it's only great because you know it's Tom Cruise flying the helicopter. If you didn't know that, it would just be another helicopter chase.
No, I don't think it's. I disagree because it's not just any helicopter chase.
It would be 007, the beginning of that one movie where they're in a helicopter.
But it's also how they film it.
Like
Like the fact that they have the camera, yes, because Tom Cruise is flying it, they can put the camera with a slight fisheye lens in there, so you can see the entire cockpit. You can see all the windows, everything going around him, and you can see like the cliffs and the trees flying by, right? Versus a traditional one, they would have Daniel Craig pretending to fly it, but you can't show the whole cockpit because you have the real guy flying it, a bunch of wide shots, and it doesn't give you that in the momentness that I think Fallout does because Tom Cruise is flying the helicopter. So it's not good only because he's flying the helicopter. It's good because the fact that he flies the helicopter lets them have more license with what they show you.
I don't know. Takes more than the helicopter chase for me. I think the storyline of Protocol is so much better. Like I agree that the ending is probably the weakest part of that movie, but the middle, when he's on the outside of the building and they're also doing the con in the room and all that kind of stuff in the hotel room, it's like the perfect spy triple double cross. You know what I mean? Like there's just so much going on in that middle sequence, and it ends in the dust clouds and stuff like that. It's just like the perfect spy movie sequence of just about anything I can think of.
I will agree that I think the Burj Khalifa moment is the greatest moment of the franchise. I still think Ghost Protocol is the best of all of them. As a whole movie, as a whole package.
Better than Fallout.
Sorry, let me rephrase that. Fallout is the best. You gotta be all tongue twisters over here. Fallout's the best movie as a whole package. Burj Khalifa sequence is the best moment of this franchise.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah. I'm not even sure which one I think is better, but I am confident that the last few have just been so good.
Yeah.
That I'm just very impressed by this franchise.
I'll agree from 4 on. They're definitely of a different quality than 1, 2, and 3. But
3 started getting there. 3 has some glimmers of where they're going.
Well, Philip Seymour Hoffman saved 3.
Yeah.
For sure.
I liked Kerry Russell in 3 also. I thought both her character and her presence was interesting.
She's fine. But
okay,
without Philip Seymour Hoffman, there's not much to that movie, in my opinion. My number 1. I can't believe Zach didn't pick this. Good Will Hunting. Of course. It's got to be.
Hunting season.
My favorite movie with a season in it. Gus Van Sant. I mean, what is there to say about Good Will Hunting that hasn't already been said on this podcast? It's great and deserving of this list.
It is great. It is great.
Zach, you said you lost respect because I used an actual traditional 4-season.
Yeah.
Would I get it back if I never repeated a season?
You get separate respect for that.
Okay.
It doesn't give you back the respect for not. I just wanted you to fully commit.
What if I told you I also did exact spellings? So I could have picked hunt for the wilderness people. I didn't, because that's not hunting. And it's the hunting season, not the hunt season.
No, I like your dedication to the form.
All right.
For sure. Mad respect. It's just I know what you did last summer.
Has the word summer in it. It
does,
is a season, though. I mean, I was allowed to use the seasons.
No, it is a season. Absolutely.
It's just
I intentionally didn't put Palm Springs on mine because springs refers to water.
That's why
right?
it's not on
mine.
mine.
Yeah.
That's why I went with spring.
Yeah.
Because the only other movie was spring.
I mean, but it's Mission Impossible Fallout is one word. It's not fall space out. It's Fallout. So if you can chop off the out for fall, then you can chop off the S for spring.
No, but Fallout, right, is you go into nuclear winter, right?
No.
You're talking
absolutely. You're back.
We're
You're
out
talking
of the
about
fall,
seasons here.
and we're into the nuclear winter.
I don't buy your logic whatsoever. You're just trying to dig yourself out of a hole.
No, absolutely not.
Nope.
Fallout, it refers to the season fall season. You're out of the fall into the nuclear winter.
That was not your thought going into this whatsoever. You are trying to retcon your list. I know you, Zach. I've known you long enough.
I care about nuclear winter.
I never would have guessed this list would be this controversial.
What about Downfall? What season is that? Is it the season that we finally won the war?
That's when you go down
so-
into the fall, of course.
No. Yeah, so it's German, obviously. So you would switch the adjective and the
Oh,
noun.
of course, as one does
and
with
so
German.
The fall is down, and then it's a
Uh-huh.
winter movie. It's where he dies.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely.
Yeah, definitely. I totally buy it.
Yeah. I mean, the seasons are very metaphorical.
Rebirth, death, life. I know. Yeah.
Exactly.
get
Yeah,
it.
absolutely. Yeah. So if this had been like Spring Up about Hitler, it would have been more about like his, applying to art school
No.
and finding his way.
You missed the joke. The producers. That could have been your movie right there.
Yeah, Springtime for
Springtime
Hitler,
Yeah,
and Germany.
exactly.
Yeah. I considered it.
You consider producers for Springtime for Hitler?
Yeah.
Well, thank you for. Go ahead, Zach.
James, I'm surprised you didn't have Spring Breakers.
No, I can only do
Okay.
one spring movie, so I think I like Spring over Spring Breakers.
Okay.
Spring Breakers is a movie I like, but it's not. I mean, that's a.
It is a weird movie.
I think
I
I've
just
only
remember you
seen
liking it.
once.
Okay.
Yeah, that movie's kind of like puts you in a trance because of the weirdness of the audio
Yeah.
quality and how they like keep repeating phrases over and over. It's like they're trying to hypnotize you or something.
I'm surprised neither of you had Midsommar.
I did a search of my documents for just the word summer, so that would not have come
Okay.
up. Yeah.
Okay.
All right. Thank you for joining us for this episode 547. We appreciate your listenership. Don't forget, find the video version on YouTube, support us on Patreon, leave us an Apple Podcast review, 5 stars only, or send us an email to heyguys@cinereelists.com. We'd appreciate any of those kinds of things, as well as following us on social media on TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, or Twitter, or you could follow me on my personal Twitter or Letterboxd account at YoJRB.
You can follow me on Twitter or Letterboxd at Shaubin.
You can find me on Letterboxd at Peter SKB.
Next week, we don't know what we're doing yet, but if you have any suggestions, fire it over to us. Hey guys at Cinereelists.com. Thanks for listening, guys. We'll see you next week. Until then, keep it Cinereal.
You're still here? It's over. Go home. Go.